First things first, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
Great.
How are you?
I'm alright, thank you. So before we get into the latest record, Hypochondriac, I have to say it right. I'd like to go back to the beginning, and I believe you guys met just after high school. Well, you've met before, but the band started just after high school. And what was the mentality as the both of you graduated high school? What was your vision of the years to come?
I don't really know if we knew what we were going to do. All of our friends, we didn't go to the same high school, but we were in bands in our respective high schools, and then all of our friends moved away. And we were kind of the only, you were the only person I knew really who was left who like played music. So I was like, well, gotta play with somebody.
You suck, but this'll do. Yeah, that's totally right. Yeah. So we started playing music together after high school, because like you said, we played in bands that played shows together in high school. But yeah, everyone left for college, and we started a little band together, and then eventually that ended up becoming what became the Frights later on, maybe a year later-ish. I mean, a year? Half a year?
Yeah, like a little over a year maybe.
A little over a year later.
But the goal was just to keep playing music, I guess.
We were both going to community college too.
Yeah.
You had a full schedule.
Yeah.
I had two classes. One of them was an acting class, and one of them was a film study class. And I
So
dropped
you had
out
no
of film.
classes.
I had no classes. Yeah, it was a waste of time. So I don't know where we thought we were going before this.
Well, because that would be my question. What role did music play in this time period? How important was it? How serious was it?
Well, for me, I've been playing music since I was 10 years old, so I don't really know what else people do when they hang out with each other. Like, I don't really know what else to do with myself when I have free time. Like, so I don't even know if it was so much of like an ambition as much as it was just something I just knew I did every day, you know?
I honestly don't think. I mean, I know we always say that we never took this seriously, and we still are trying to have as much fun with it while taking it the least amount serious as we can. But I think back then, I don't think we saw any chance of being in a professional band and being a band that could tour the world and do that kind of thing. So I think that's why we were going to community college in the first place, and funnily enough, we were going for film, which is the complete other career that was probably not going to work out. So I think, I'm not sure, at that point I think music was just for fun. I think it was just a hobby that we thought we were okay at that point.
Definitely didn't think we'd be in Amsterdam one day because of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
A million miles from home.
Yeah.
But so is that the reason why you thought, well, we can never pursue music? That's a career that's only for a handful. And was it too much of a risk at that time? Did you feel?
Not really. I mean, it was. I think, at least for me, it was always something I like. Like, of course, that'd be the ideal. Your band makes it or whatever, and then you play music for a living, and like that's what everyone wants. But as far as actually expecting it to work, I definitely didn't.
I don't think there was much of a risk either.
Yeah, that's why.
I think at that point, all we were doing was playing local shows and playing a bunch of bars, and then eventually, every once in a while, we go to LA or Orange County and play a show, and that was only 2 hours away. So at that point, there wasn't much of a risk. I think the only time it started to. No, not really. I mean, and even when we got to points where we were touring out of the state and going around the U.S. and Canada, by that point we had a manager and a booking agent. So it was like, well, these are adults. They'll take care of us. So I don't think we're risking anything yet. And I think that we've been taken care of this whole way, that we've never felt like if we lose this, we're done. I don't feel like we've ever been at risk of failing completely yet. Still time though.
Yeah.
We still have plenty of time to do that.
No, but especially as you start to venture outside of your own area, I suppose. Then what was that like? Because being in bands with each other, kind of going through that whole process of honing your skills and kind of getting that experience. What was that like?
I mean, before this band, even like.
Well, it can be, but
kind
of as you started to move out of kind of the California area.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, I'd say. I mean, I remember our first tour in particular, like the first time we got out of the state and stuff. Looking back on it, it was the worst. Like, we're sleeping in the van in Walmart parking lots every night. Like, we play a show and we got paid in spaghetti or whatever it was. And
that actually happened.
but it was like the most fun I think I've ever had, just because it was like so exciting. Like, it was, I mean, even though we were still playing to nobody, it was like, oh, dang, like, we left San Diego. Like, we're on the road right now. This is sick. Like, so it was really exciting. It still is exciting. I mean, we're here now, like I said, like, we took a ferry here yesterday, and none of us have been on a ferry before. It's like, whoa, look, we're on a van on a boat right now. This is crazy. So, still going on.
Is there one thing that you've learned from each other over the years about, maybe personally, but about the music?
I think I've learned one. Just kidding.
I don't know. I have no. I think that playing music together with the same people for a long amount of time, more than learning about them. I mean, you learn everything about them, but I think you learn even more about yourself. As cheesy as that sounds, I think you learn like what kind of person you are pretty quickly, and how you deal with traveling with people for extended amount of time. So I feel like that's kind of, I learned a lot about myself after learning about everything with these guys. I know everything about these guys. So
Yeah.
Well, can you share one thing that you've noticed then about yourself throughout the years of touring and being on the road? And
yeah, I'm trying to think of something appropriate. I don't. I mean, I think I knew this before I left, but I get super homesick really fast. So I think more than just learning that I get homesick, I learned how to deal with being homesick and learning how to be like happy with where I am. And that was something I think I learned from my dad. He's really good at going to places that aren't necessarily the coolest place to go and finding the funny little things to do there, like finding a trashy bar or finding like a funny area of town that you can have fun in, which most people probably would say that's kind of a weird thing to do or a weird place to hang out. But for me, it's like a small little golden nugget of a situation. I don't know. I think that's the best way I've learned to deal with being homesick. So that's one of my things I've learned.
Yeah.
What have you learned? What do you think you've learned?
Yeah, I think I'm still learning. I don't know. I think if there's one thing about touring that I didn't know before we started doing this very regularly is how much I valued, like, I think all of us just need like alone time. And when you're in a van with 5 other dudes like 24/7,
right.
I learned a lot about giving people space when they need it and like being able to read that very easily. We don't really fight very much as a band, I think, because we've gone through all these changes together. So we have a lot more sympathy for each other. If someone's being grumpy or whatever, it's like, oh, that guy's not being a dick to me. He's just a little tired or whatever it is, you know? So maybe a little more empathetic.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the creative process then, because I don't want to go back too far, but if you look at the last album, how do you perceive it now after all this time?
You're gonna hate this, the second one. I hear you're gonna hate this as 3 kids that finally got some recognition a little bit from somebody we respected a lot, which was Zach Carper, who produced it. And I hear us being like, let's just do this. We don't know what this is. Let's just do it, and we'll do whatever you want. Like, we just want to play music and we want to tour and we want to be a band. I look back and see 3 kids that just wanted to be in a band, and just wanted to do anything that they could do to be in a band. So we were super. Not carefree, but we were super reasonable with just being like, if you think it should sound that way, that sounds good to us. Not us. We're young and stupid.
We're all on board with just going out on a limb too, I think.
So I just maybe a little green and maybe like just young. That's how I look back at that record, basically.
But then this time around, you work again with Zach. So how was this? How was it this time around? Did you feel a little bit more mature? Did you feel a little bit more confident in what you were doing, in a sense?
Yeah, totally.
Definitely more so.
Yeah, I think this record, more than anything this band's made, this is the most confident I've been with a piece of work that we've made.
Yeah.
Especially in the studio with it too. It was definitely more mature, more like careful process, I think, and it was also a shorter process. The last record we made over the course of 4 months or something, like just on and off. And this was just 14 straight days in a studio, and like at the end of day 14, like that's it, that's the record. So I think there was a lot more deliberation, especially with songwriting between Mikey and Zach. Like, you guys spent a long time just really getting the songs right.
Yeah, that was the difference, I think, between this one and You Were Gonna Hate This, Hypochondriac, and You Were Gonna Hate This, is that with You Were Gonna Hate This, we had songs that I'd had for a little bit of time, like some of them we had for a couple of years even, and we just recorded them, and most everything after that was done in post-production and just messing around with sounds, and Zach loves doing that kind of thing, so a lot of it was done with that, and then with this, it's just a different world. And this record, we spent a lot more time servicing the songs and as far as on acoustic guitar, so that we built a lot more around melody and around actual guitar playing as opposed to programs and stuff.
Right.
So, but it's like we said, it's two different worlds, so different records.